Am I the only one who was completely blindsided by the news that the Palisades fire was actually the result of arson? For weeks, maybe even months, it seemed like just another tragic wildfire, one of many that have plagued California in recent years. But then, out of nowhere, the story took a dramatic turn. Suddenly, what we thought was a natural disaster became a criminal investigation, and the entire community was left reeling. The shockwaves rippled far beyond the Palisades, as people across Los Angeles and even the state began to question how something so devastating could have been deliberately set. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the greatest threats aren't just from nature, but from people themselves. It's wild to think that so many of us didn't realize the Palisades fire was intentionally set. The news coverage at first focused on the devastation, the evacuations, and the heroic efforts of firefighters. But behind the scenes, investigators were already piecing together clues that pointed to something much more sinister. While the public was glued to their screens, watching the flames devour hillsides and threaten homes, a parallel story was unfolding. One of forensic science, surveillance footage, and whispered suspicions. The idea that someone could have started this on purpose was almost too much to process. The story behind this blaze is far from simple, because even with an arrest, the mystery is just getting started. There are layers to this case that make it feel more like a Hollywood thriller than a real-life tragedy. Every time you think you have a handle on what happened, another question pops up. The more you dig, the more you realize how many pieces of the puzzle are still missing. It's a story filled with twists, secrets, and unanswered questions that keep everyone guessing. The mystery is just getting started. Even as the flames died down, rumors and speculation only grew. Was this a random act? Or was there a deeper motive? Was the suspect working alone, or could there be others involved? The uncertainty has left the community on edge. People are whispering in coffee shops, sharing theories on social media, and wondering if the person responsible is someone they know, or if there's a larger network at play. In January 2025, a massive fire ripped through the Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles. The flames moved with terrifying speed, devouring everything in their path. Residents watched in horror as the hills they called home were swallowed by smoke and fire. The sky turned an eerie orange, and ash rained down for miles. The scale of the destruction was almost unimaginable. Entire neighborhoods threatened, wildlife fleeing, and the city's iconic landscape transformed into a scene from a disaster movie. Homes were destroyed, families were forced to evacuate in the middle of the night, and the entire community was left wondering, how did this happen? For many, it was the most frightening experience of their lives. People grabbed what they could, piled into cars, and fled, not knowing if they'd ever see their homes again. The sense of loss was overwhelming, and the fear lingered long after the flames were out. For some, the trauma of that night still haunts their dreams. Authorities quickly ruled it arson, but for months, the suspect's identity and motives stayed tightly under wraps. The official statements were vague, and the press conferences left more questions than answers. Why the secrecy? Was there something they didn't want the public to know? Or were they simply trying to avoid panic while they gathered evidence? The lack of transparency only fueled speculation, and rumors began to swirl about who might be behind the fire. After weeks of speculation, police finally announced an arrest. Now, a 29-year-old is under arrest, but the details remain shrouded in mystery. Who is this person? What led them to allegedly commit such a devastating act? The community wants answers, but so far all they have are more questions. The suspect's background, their possible motives, and even their identity remain hidden from public view. Officials still won't say who he is or why he did it. The suspect's name hasn't been released, and authorities are keeping a tight lid on any information about his background or possible connections. It's almost as if they're afraid that revealing too much could compromise the investigation. Or maybe there's more to the story than we realize. Some wonder if the suspect is connected to other crimes, or if there's a larger network involved. The silence from officials only adds to the sense of unease. The evidence? Still secret. Investigators have hinted at compelling proof. But so far, nothing concrete has been shared with the public. What exactly do they have? Surveillance footage? Forensic evidence? A confession? We're left to guess. The lack of details has led to wild speculation, with some people convinced that the truth is being hidden for reasons we can only imagine. Did he act alone? Or is there more to the story? Some sources suggest that the tactics used to start the fire were unusually sophisticated, raising the possibility that the suspect had help or was following someone else's instructions. Could this be part of a larger pattern of arson attacks? Or is it the work of a single, disturbed individual? The uncertainty is unsettling, and the community is desperate for answers. Investigators hint that the tactics used to start the fire were sophisticated, involving accelerants and possibly even timed devices. This wasn't just a careless act, it was planned, methodical, and executed with chilling precision. The forensic teams are still combing through the debris, looking for any clue that might explain how and why this happened. Every piece of evidence is being scrutinized, from burn patterns to chemical residues, in the hope of uncovering the truth. The use of accelerants and the possibility of timed devices suggest a level of planning that goes beyond what most people would expect from a typical arson case. Investigators are considering whether the suspect had specialized knowledge or access to materials that aren't easily obtained. This raises even more questions about the suspect's background and whether they had any training or assistance. But the public is left in the dark. Residents are frustrated, demanding answers at community meetings, but officials remain tight-lipped. The lack of transparency has only fueled suspicion and fear. People want to know if they're safe, or if there's still a threat lurking in their neighborhood. The sense of vulnerability is palpable, and trust in local authorities is being tested like never before. The controversy doesn't end there. Add to that, controversy exploded over how firefighters responded. Some residents say the response was too slow, that precious time was lost as the fire spread unchecked. Others defend the firefighters, pointing to the difficult terrain and unpredictable winds. The debate has become heated, with strong opinions on both sides and no easy answers. Critics say different strategies or faster resource deployment could have stopped the blaze from spreading so quickly. There are questions about whether enough resources were available, and if communication breakdowns between agencies made things worse. Could more have been done to protect homes and lives? The aftermath has sparked a broader conversation about emergency preparedness and the challenges of fighting wildfires in urban areas. Some even wonder if budget cuts or staffing shortages played a role. In a city as large as Los Angeles, you'd expect a rapid, coordinated response. But when disaster struck, it seems like the system was stretched to its limits. The fire exposed weaknesses in the city's emergency response infrastructure, and now, officials are under pressure to address those gaps before the next crisis hits. So here's what we still don't know. Why was the fire allowed to rage out of control? Was it simply bad luck, or were there preventable mistakes? Did the arsonist know exactly when and where to strike to cause maximum damage? The timing and location of the fire have led some to believe that it was no accident, that the person responsible knew how to exploit the system's weaknesses. What drove the suspect to do it? Was it revenge, a cry for help, or something even darker? Investigators are reportedly looking into the suspect's past, searching for any sign of motive, mental health issues, financial troubles, or possible connections to extremist groups. The psychological profile of the suspect could hold the key to understanding why this tragedy happened, but so far, those details remain hidden. Experts in criminal psychology have weighed in, suggesting that arsonists often have complex motives that can range from personal vendettas to a desire for attention or even political statements. The fact that the suspect's identity and background are still secret only adds to the intrigue. Is there something in his past that authorities are trying to keep under wraps? And could better planning have saved more homes? Emergency planners are now reviewing every step of the response, looking for lessons that could prevent future tragedies. Was the community prepared? Were evacuation routes clear? Did everyone get the warnings in time? These are the questions that will shape how the city responds to the next disaster. For the people of the Palisades, this wasn't just news, it was life-changing. families lost everything. Children's bedrooms, family photos, cherished pets, all gone in a matter of hours. The emotional scars will last long after the headlines fade. Rebuilding will take years, and for some, the sense of safety they once felt in their own neighborhood may never fully return. The investigation isn't over, and the biggest answers are still out there. Detectives are working around the clock, but until more information is released, the community is left to wonder and worry. Every day brings new rumors, new theories, and new hope that the truth will finally come out. So, what do you think really happened? Was this the work of a lone arsonist, or is there a bigger story waiting to be uncovered? Do you trust the official narrative, or do you think there's more going on behind the scenes? The Palisades fire has become a symbol of the uncertainty and fear that can grip a community in the wake of tragedy. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe for the latest updates as this mystery continues to unfold. We'll be following every twist and turn, bringing you the facts as soon as they come to light. Stay safe and stay tuned. The story of the Palisades fire is far from over, and together, we'll keep searching for the answers.